The moment you lose the ball, you have to immediately start applying pressure to the opponent's player, and it's the easiest way to press and win the ball immediately. This is possible when your player is close to the opponent's player, like in these examples. But there are situations where your player will not be close, or the opponent react quick enough and pass away the ball to escape the pressure, and you have to press manually. So today, let's see how you can press effectively in this game, and how you can set up traps and be ahead of your opponent.
If you want cheap and safe and quick FC25 coins, visit u7buy.com and use the discount code DRFC for 6% off. Check link in the description.
There are many formations in this game, and most of the times you need formations with wingers and two midfielders to press effectively, because these formations your players will position themselves in every position where the ball can reach on the pitch, most especially wide areas. So you need formations with wingers and midfielders. Either you use back four or back five, it doesn't matter. Let's look at the effective tools we use to press. Beginning with Jockey. When pressing, we don't use the Jockey button as much as when defending normally, and you will understand the reason later in the video. But still there are moments when you have to use it. For example, when you want to change directions with your player, let's call him a defender now because you're in a defensive side. Use Jockey when you want to change direction, and your player will react quick. Then next is sprinting. Now let's start from here. Sprinting is one of the most effective ways to apply pressure on the opponent. The R2, we use it because 1, when the opponent is in his half, he will always have large open spaces. Using Jockey, it gives time for the opponent to make use of that space. And that's why you have to sprint. Here, you close up spaces very quick and give the opponent less time to react. 2 is when the opponent is building up, especially in his half. Usually he have to use center backs and full backs a lot, and these players have low dribbling and passing skills. And when you charge at them, you either reach at the moment when that player is trying to dribble or pass, or force an error because the opponent will feel that charge and panic, so he will rush and either go for a pass or dribble. But remember, these players have low skills of passing and dribbling, which means they need time to set up. Next is that aggressive movement. Yes, when pressing, it means you're aggressive. Then you have to use aggressive behaviors like moving your defenders in an aggressive way, and that's diagonal movement. You sprint trying to cover up space charging at the opponent's player, but in a diagonal way. It has two advantages, because it's an aggressive approach. 1, it's very easy to tackle and win the ball from the ball holder, or intercept passes without rebounds. It's because you're overcommit to that particular action, and it increases your chances of winning the ball. The second advantage is covering multiple options at the same time. For example, blocking that passing lane, and at the same time you're applying pressure to the opponent's player, or covering the open space, still applying pressure to the ball holder. The opponent feels like the pitch is small and he has less time on the ball. Pressing is all about giving the opponent hard time to build up or getting forward and try to dispossess him, and the effective way to do that is to cut forward open passing lanes. Yes, we know the opponent will always have open spaces, but making sure we close up these open passes makes it hard for him to build up. Naturally, we all want to move forward, and passing the ball is the easiest way, so it's by nature to pass the ball. You close those passing lanes and the opponent will struggle. The key to an effective press is the right analog switch. This is the most important tool of pressing. If you struggle with the right analog switch, we have a dedicated video explaining how you can train and master the right stick switching. And that video is on our second channel. Check link in the description. Right stick switching gives you the control to use every player of yours from different angles. And here you can position them in the right positions. You can cut passing lanes, or you can even close up spaces. The main key of these three is to position your defenders. Pressing is very effective when the opponent has little space to use, and using the right analog switch, you can pull your players and close up spaces, and also cut passing lanes, at the same time trying to apply pressure on the ball holder. The next tool makes it possible to close up spaces and cut passing lanes, and yes, at the same time applying pressure, and that's using the second man press. This tool is mainly for pressure. It's a powerful tool when pressing because it gives you the chance to apply pressure on the opponent's ball holder, and at that very moment you're either cutting passing lanes or closing up space or repositioning your players. Yes, we have said that diagonal movement you can cover multiple options at the same time, but there are are some situations where you can't use that single defender to deal with it, like the passing option or space can be in a different position where this player can't reach in time. And that's when you have to use the second man press. You switch away using the right stick switch and press the R1 to activate the second man press. Then use the other player to cut the passing lanes or close up spaces, as this ball holder is being pressured by the second man press. And also, we have a dedicated video explaining how you can train and use the second man press effectively. Check that video on the second channel. Tackling is also an important tool when defending aggressively, because waiting for that automatic jockey tackle kills the pressing ability. Using manual tackles makes it effective to charge on the opponent's player and apply pressure, even if you don't win the ball that moment. But the opponent's player will feel some pressure and make some mistakes. And in FC 25 spamming tackles, it's not highly punishable than it was in the past game seasons. But still, it doesn't mean you press it in a wrong position. Make sure you get close with your player and try to press the tackling button to challenge for the ball. And remember, tackling when moving your player diagonally makes it easy to win the ball. Pressing sometimes is powered by these manual offside traps. The real reason why we use the offside traps is to press. It pushes your back line up the pitch, and also the midfield line reacts to that, and they also pushes up, and also strikers do the same. So this generally pushes up your players, and they automatically get into that pressing mode and press the opponent's players, either by man marking or closing up spaces. To activate the second man press, you double tap the up button on your D-pad, pressing it twice. Just activate it when the opponent is either starting the play from a goal kick or free kick, or when you have just lost the ball. Next tools are somehow logical, and they are also effective, beginning with the team shape. To press effectively, you have to press in the team's formation, respecting the defense shape, meaning you have to press or cut passing lanes using that player in that position where the ball is at. Like, for example, don't apply pressure on the opponent's center backs using midfielders if your strikers are available in their positions. This rule can only be broken if, when that player responsible to deal with the situation in that position is not available, then you can use any available player at the moment. Then lastly is anticipation. This is now the most important tool of all. It's just a mind game. So anticipation, you have to see what is about to happen and immediately close it before even the opponent thinks about it, meaning you have to develop a skill of quick reaction if you want to press effectively. Anticipation. We have two levels. One is covering what the opponent needs to move forward, like that open pass, you spot it and immediately block it, or that space, or applying pressure. Level 1. It's all about realizing what is needed for the opponent to build up, and you quickly shut it down. Then level 2 is to deal with the opponent's creativity, and that's when you have to set traps. So level 1, you cut that pass, or apply pressure to opponent's player. As you're charging towards that player, the opponent will try to be creative and take other options like passing the ball to escape the pressure. And that's when you activate level 2 anticipation. So you don't fully commit towards the ball holder, you change direction midway and head for that pass. And if the opponents fall for your trap, he will pass the ball. Or you switch players midway when you're approaching to apply pressure and cut that passing lane. Setting traps is a pro mind game. It needs some experience, but just know it's a fun way of playing this game. Like applying pressure on that ball holder, most of the times he will try to turn and position his player in between the ball and your player. So you activate level 2 and instead move your player into the end position of that dribble and that space. The opponent will be surprised how it happened, but the ball, it has already been lost. But setting up traps or anticipation levels depends on how skillful your opponent. Some opponents will be direct and these traps will not work, and mostly these are average opponents. So you have to react your opponent and understand his level and adjust. Pressing gives the opponent hard time to build up, and I like to do it because I don't want to give away easy build-ups. So I try my best not to allow the opponent to move forward, even if I don't win the ball immediately. It doesn't matter. Still, I'm not letting the opponent to get forward easily. 2 is to get quick counterattacks. This is a little bit of motivational advantage, pressing and you win the ball. Here you can immediately transit for a quick counterattack. Because here, the opponent's defenders will not be in positions, and it's easier to exploit spaces. This is the easiest and funniest way to score goals in this game, though pressing is not that easy, but it's very rewarding once you win the ball. Risk versus reward. It's a measurement where we have to see what we gain and what we lose. So pressing the reward is in 2 ways. 1 is denying your opponent that easy build-up. Then 2 is scoring from that quick counter if you manage to win the ball back. Then the risk is that you can also be vulnerable to counterattacks, since you're overcommitting your players forward. If the opponent beats that press, he can also get a chance and counterattack. But the risk is not that bad, because when pressing we usually commit like 6 players forward and remain with 4 at the back, and when the opponent manages to beat the press, still we have these 4 defenders to use and defend this counterattack. Take this tip also. If the opponent manages to beat your press, then you have to defend normally with your last defenders. So that's it, guys. Pressing is a skill, and it also needs some time to master. Make sure you record your gameplay and re-watch it. Here you can understand your mistakes and figure out how you could have approached the situation differently. So make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.